Hello and welcome again to We Are Crafted in His Image. We are on our very last project in our Gorgeous Leaves Coco and Crafts class, and we are going to make some pillow box treat holders. And I did them in two different styles. This one you can see I focused with greens and yellows so that it would give it kind of a more spring and summer kind of look. And then of course this one I did in more of the oranges and the yellows to give it more of a fall look. And I really like how the top flap is a different color than the base. So anyway, we're gonna get started. There are a few things you will need that are not included in the kit, and the main thing is some sort of a box to do your spritzing in so that things don't get splatter everywhere. So let me go ahead and clear off. You have your little chocolate treats if you haven't eaten them already. These fit perfectly inside of our little treat box. So yay, yay. Always love Ghirardelli chocolate squares. So let me set these all aside, and I'm gonna do this one similar to last week. We're gonna do one little spot and then I'm gonna pause the video and let our project dry before we go on, because yeah, it needs to dry. So this package has very little. There's 2 leaves in there, there is your base, and then there is some ribbon. And so I'm gonna set the ribbon and my leaves aside. We won't need those till later. And here are your 2 bases already pre-cut. And obviously I used the, let me see if I can grab it real quick, if I can find it. No, there it is. The new pillow box die set for these. And I just used the first basic die. I didn't use any of the extra little doodads with it, but we're going to start with that. So let's start with the one that is going to be just yellow. We're going to do that one so that we have more of a summery look. I wanted you to realize that, you know, even though we see this stamp set and you immediately think fall, it doesn't have to be fall. It could be summer, it could be spring. So we're going to do one that is spring, and I have already filled my spritzers like we did last week. I actually added some more alcohol and a few more drops to it. And we need the yellow one, and I do recommend that you label them somehow after you have put your colors in, because later on you may have a couple of reds and you're never going to know what color this actually is until you actually spray it. So yeah, I just used a label maker on mine, but you can even just take a piece of, you know, masking tape and write on it and stick it on there, or a permanent marker on the side, however you want to do it. So I'm going to start with our bumblebee, and like I said last time, you're going to want to spritz on some scrap paper first and see how your color is. Make sure you're not... This thing is always sprays really kind of wide sprays out on this one, but that's okay. If I was concerned, I could take and pop this off. Oh, come on. I know you pop off. I've done it before. And put this in some water to soak if you're worried if this thing has gotten clogged up at all. You just put it in some water, let it soak, take it out, and then it should be fine. So, but I'm not going to worry about that on this one because I want it to spray all over. So here we go. Get some color. And then I'm going to let that sit. I'm going to put this one aside because that one's going to be all yellow. And let me grab a second one here. And this one, I am going to do all yellow, but then I'm going to put some orange on the bottom. But I'm going to go ahead and start at this end up here because I really want that top flap to be yellow, our bumblebee color. And then what I'm going to do, because I really don't want any of the orange to show up on my little flap, or I want a few splatters but not very many, so I'm actually going to cover it at first when I first start spraying. I'm just going to lightly cover that flap. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me test my Cajun Craze. Oh yeah, see, this one does like a really circular spray, whereas the other one kind of goes out that way. So it's always good to test and see how it's going to spray on you. And so I'm going to just kind of cover that up a little so I don't get too much overspray. And then I want to spray that. And then I'll let one, whoops. And there I did, I got too much on it, but that's okay. I think it'll be all right. I think it'll lighten up a little bit as it sets. I got a little too much of the orange on there. Okay, now, oh, one thing I wanted to show you before I turn this off and let it set is you can color more than just paper. This is our, oh, which one is this one? The Diamond Weave Ribbon. And I'm just going to cut off a little section of it. Actually, no, I'm just going to spray it right on there. And I think I'm going to use Cajun Craze because I really like that color. And look at there. Look at there. I now have colored ribbon to match my project if I want to use it. Now, we're not going to use that in today's project. We have some gold to use. But look, isn't that cool? And of course, if I sprayed more color, I could get it more intense. Super quick and easy way of making a ribbon to match whatever project you're working on. So just wanted to share that with you. I am going to go ahead and let my projects dry, and I'll be back in a few minutes and we'll get started. Okay, so I am back and I have prepared a few things while I was waiting for these to dry. I have my baby wipe all wet, ready to go over here. I went ahead and mounted the leaf that we're going to stamp. Let me pull that out of here. Oh, I did forget to mount the small leaves. We're going to need those as well. So let me get those onto a block. There we go. And I think I'm going to start with this one here because I want it to be focused with just greens and yellows, as you can see with this one here, that I did just greens and yellows on it. So I'm going to go ahead and use one side of my little baby wipe here and add some Bumblebee and some Mossy Meadow to it. A few drops, kind of spread them out a little bit. Doesn't need to be, it needs to be about as big as your large leaf stamp, but doesn't need to be super, super. Like you don't have to cover the whole thing. I'm going to add some green in there, let it spread in between. There we go. Okay. So, making sure my thing is still in here. Let's go ahead and start with this one. I'm going to go ahead and stamp. Now remember what we did before. We want a darker background so we can see the outline. So I'm going to set it on here just so I can see my white. And again, if you already have the dies, if you got the die set to go with this, it's easier to stamp this first and then die cut it out. But for those of you who don't have the dies, I've already die cut for you. Now you're just going to need to stamp and line it up. And you know what? Because I don't want to accidentally mess that up by stamping sideways, let me grab a piece. There we go. There we go. I'm worried about that stem. It's so tiny that I might miss. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it the way we did before. I'm going to put it on this direction so that I get that stem on there. And then I'm going to use a second block and push down. And voila! It worked! Yay! And that's the only one. We only have to do that with the large one. You do want to clean your stamp so it's ready for the next, because we're going to do different colors on the next one. Alright, these can move out of the way, and let's stamp this. We grab a piece to go underneath because I'm going to do a lot of stamping off the edges. Alright, can you see what I'm working on here? There we go. And let's start stamping. And you're just going to randomly stamp these leaves all over your pillow box. I need some yellow. That was mostly all green now. My yellow seems to have kind of bled in. Let's see if I can get some yellow on this one. Oh, there we go. At least one of them has some yellow on it. There we go. Oh yeah. I like that. Rotate your base around so that the leaves go in different directions. The leaves are definitely falling at my house right now. Although they're not as vibrant as they usually are, and I think that has a lot to do with the low amount of rainfall we had this year. There we go. Very nice. Okay, so this one is stamped as done. Now let's add a few other colors to our stamp pad here. I'm going to add a couple of drops of Cajun Craze. And then a couple drops of the Cherry Cobbler. Woo! That one spreads. And then I think I do want to still mix in some yellow even over here. Probably don't need a whole lot on this since this is just a minimal amount of actual stamping. And let's go ahead and put some green in those middle spots. Alright. Again, let's start with our leaf, our bigger leaf. And I want it to be lots of colors, so we're going to use this side here. Remember, like we did last time, you want to kind of go in a circle so you blend around those different colors, the edges. Okay, set that on upside down. Whoops, stay. Thank you. Push. And yay! It's always a fun surprise when you're done, right? Alright, and now let's get this one. I'm not real happy with this little spot here. It really got a big little on it, but you know what? It's all good, right? Alright, let's get some pretty leaves. Maybe they'll kind of help that not be quite so obvious, maybe. Let's see. I'm thinking I need to turn it this way. The yellow definitely does not show up on top of the orange, but that's alright. It will show up when we get over to the yellow side though. I love all the different colors you get. And you don't have to worry about, you know, ruining your ink pad if these colors get mixed up. Ooh, I do have to watch. I just realized I've got some ink right here and it's starting to show. I'm leaning too far to one side. So I got to make sure when I do this that I don't lean. Let's try a different area. There we go. That's so pretty. I still ended up with a lot of those little lines, but I think that looks okay. There we go. So that part is finished. All of our stamping is done. This project should go together pretty quick. So move that out of the way. And now we're going to start by folding on all the score lines. There is a score line right here, and you may have to really just kind of work it to get it to fold where you want it to fold. There we go. There's one right there. So there's the two that go straight across. Give them a good burnish. And then these side ones are a little bit trickier because they're not straight. You're going to need to use your fingers and really kind of just work it around like that. And you do want to make sure you give those edges a really nice push. That way the box folds together a little bit easier when it comes time to put those two sides together. Let's see, there we go. And yes. Really nice push in on those. Let me do this side. I like to really just pinch in those corners. There we go. Okay, one is ready. Let's get the other one ready. And if you wanted to, you could have actually sprayed both sides so that when they open the box, the inside is colored as well. I didn't, but you could totally do that. Just have to wait a little longer for it to dry. And you do kind of want to make sure that your paper is pretty dry when you do this part, because otherwise, first off, when you stamp the leaves, they would bleed. Secondly, when you do this, you run the risk of tearing if it is wet still. But that is the nice thing about using alcohol inks, is that the alcohol, rubbing alcohol for your spritzer, is that it dries faster. It evaporates faster than water does. Apparently I can't talk and focus on this at the same time. There we go. There we go. Okay, I got them all done. So, and the one thing I do also like to do is to take and open out these flaps and give the cardstock a little bit of a curve. Otherwise, when you go to put it together, sometimes that front doesn't like to curve out nicely with the folds. So I'm just using my hands and curving that a little bit. And you could even take your bone folder and do it, or rub it across the side of the table. I can't move my camera to show you that. That's what I normally do, is like rub it on the edge of my table, but I can't move my camera, so there. See how the difference, how that curls it like that? I can't exactly do this whole big section that way though, so I'll just giving it a slight curve with my hands. I found that it made it much easier to assemble later on if I did it that way. Okay, so now to put these together. What you want to do is, okay, these are going to be your back flaps and these are going to be your front flaps. That way when you see the front of the box, if you had these on the inside and those on the outside, then you end up with this like seam showing right here. So you want these to be on the inside. So I'm going to put adhesive, and I am going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus. You could also use tear and tape. Could use liquid glue, but then you're going to have to sit and hold it until it dries. So I'm just going to put some of the Stampin' Seal Plus there, and then I'm going to fold this over and try to line up that corner right there, and then lining this edge up like that, okay? And then same thing over here. Kind of line this up. You could start at the bottom and work your way to the top, but really what you're trying to do is just line those two edges up there nicely. And this one is ready for some chocolate. Tuck that right in there. Okay, so set that there. Do the same thing on this one. Remember, these two here are your back side flaps. Those are the ones you want to put the adhesive on. Okay. Come here. Get in there. And this side. There we go. Chocolate! Ta-da! I love this one. I love the way that this is a different color than this. It makes the little flaps stand out. But they're both adorable. So now, to put this together, easy, 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 easy. You're going to wrap this around, overlap by a little bit, and cut that off. Scissors. And I'm going to go ahead and cut myself 2 of those because I am making 2. And then you can either use glue dots or Tear and Tape, either one. I am going to opt for some Tear and Tape, but you only need a teeny tiny little bit right on the end of the ribbon. Okay, and then if I can peel it off. Oh, yes I can. Yay! I'll go back to doing this again. Put that in the front. Wrap it around, and see my Tear and Tape is right here, and I'm just going to then push it across there, and that way this can slide off and it can be opened without having to rip things apart. Okay, so there's that one, and then let's do this one. I gotta get the paper off, get the backing off. Come here, come on, there we go. And wrap it around. Now see how it's nice and rounded? That's because we gave it a little bit of that cupping before we started putting it together. I'm going to trim off my little ends there. And then you want your overlap to be right here in the middle so that your bow can cover it up when we're done. And then guess what? We are not going to actually tie a bow. That's just way too much work. So what we're actually going to do is take and simply, like, I like to lay it across here and then go here and here. I want to make sure I have enough. Yes. I'm not even going to glue that down yet. Cut it yet. I'm going to go ahead and grab a glue dot. And yes, this does take 2 or 3 glue dots, but that's okay. It's a lot easier than tying a bow. We're going to stick the glue dot right there. Actually, let me do another glue dot because I want to actually glue it to my base. Right there, right over top of my seam. Now where did my glue dot go? There it is. Okay, put that glue dot on top of that one. Okay, then wrap it around as if you had just made a little bow, like you've got your little loop there. Stick it down. Let's get another glue dot. Put that right smack in the middle again. Stick. Make sure your loop is the same size as the other loop. Push it down and then cut your ribbon. Easy peasy. And then where they are. Grab that. I think I'm gonna put a couple of glue dots. Nope, just one. Just one right there in the middle again. Stick it right here and stick my leaf right on the top. Now if you had tied this in a bow, you would have had a big knot right there and this leaf would have had a hard time sitting on there. So by doing it this way, you have a flat spot for your leaf to sit on. And there you go, there's your bow, ready to go. And with this one, since it's already cut pretty much to the right size, I'm going to stick a glue dot in the middle, just like we did. Oh, it didn't stick. It stayed on my, there we go. You could go put the middle on here. Ah, stay. Wrap one loop over. And then another glue dot, stay down there. Thank you. Wrap the other loop over. Trim your ends, whichever direction you want them to go. And one more glue dot for our leaf. And there you have it. Now if you want to, because I don't want to push too hard or I'm going to bend this, what you can do is actually take that off. That way you can push down really, really hard Make sure it's really, really well adhered, and then slide it back onto your box. It's a little bit trickier sliding it back on, but let's see if I can make it work. I did it. I did it. There it is. And there you go. We have finished 2 finished little treat boxes. Ready to go with some yummy chocolate inside. Yay! So what do you think? Do you like these little boxes? I love the pillow box die. I just think it's just the cutest little thing. And it's a nice little gift for somebody. Just a little, maybe a little pick-me-up. A little, hey, I love you. I think you're awesome. You're doing a great job. Whatever kind of a little gift you need to give somebody. So there you have it. We have now finished our last project for the September Coco and Crafts class. And we will be back next week with, I think it's next week, but next month at least, we will be back with the Sparkle of the Season Coco and Crafts. I just thought this was a really fun stamp set to use because we have Christmas and there's Halloween and there's Thanksgiving, and even just the stars could be really any time of year. Wouldn't necessarily have to be even a holiday. So, and I love this. I love this right here. So we'll be back later, and until then, God's love and blessings to you. Bye.